Tony Robbins says, if you want to change your life, you have to raise your standards. Anytime you sincerely want to make a change, the first thing you must do is to raise your standards. Thank you for joining me on this platform. I'm Sandra Gopal. Today's podcast is entitled, Embracing an Accelerated Life. Do you ever wonder what separates the highest achievers from everyone else today? Your life is a direct reflection of the standards that you hold both for yourself and for others. These standards are personal standards. It is a set of behaviors that we choose to consistently indulge in. These behaviors are built upon expectations that we have of ourselves in a variety of situations. Some call it performance standards. In other words, they lay down the benchmarks of performance for your life. Your personal standards are reflected in how you treat yourself, how you treat others, and how you expect to be treated by other people. When you have high standards, you expect to be treated with the highest regard. However, when your standards are low, you will often accept things how they are. Furthermore, you may even allow others to walk all over you, which is a clear indication that you're struggling with your low self-esteem. When you have low standards, you will often fall prey to other people's influence. This happens because you fail to stand up for yourself, you fail to stand up for your principles, and you fail to stand up for your beliefs. Your personal standards are reflected in the quality of your work, your values, and your communication. In fact, everything that you do and say provides others with insight into the personal standards that you keep. If, for instance, your work or home environment is messy and disorganized, then that reflects the standards that you uphold in this area of your life. On the other hand, when your environment is clean and orderly, that sends an entirely different message about the personal standards that you live by. The standards we keep determine the expectations that we set. They likewise determine the quality of our results and the overall quality of our lives. What does it mean to raise your standards? You see, standards are the behaviors you hold yourself to in order to become a better person. Standards can also be seen as boundaries that you set for yourself. A boundary is a clear line about what behaviors you will and you will not accept from other people. A standard is a clear line about the behaviors that you expect from yourself. Standards differ from rules. A rule is a prescription, a regulation, a guide for conduct, or an action. A standard is a choice that you make about how you will behave or what you will have in your environment. Standards are really the things that you choose to live by. Raising your standards builds your character. Your character is the sum of your qualities. It reveals your commitment level. How well do you keep your promises to follow through? Are you a person of integrity? To raise your standards, one must consider raising boundaries. Ask yourself, what behavior have you been tolerating from others? What behaviors have you been tolerating from yourself? What behaviors need changing? With a set of higher standards, you will start to think differently. You will think differently about the goals you are pursuing. This will subsequently transform your decisions and take you down a more optimal path of action. Then you begin to expect more of yourself in every situation. So make a decision to simply raise your standards. Sometimes people have been in the same job for 10, 15, and 20 years, yet they never progress, they never advance. So changing your behavior and changing the way you do things, getting a new mindset shift is what will help you to raise the bar for yourself. You know, most people, if they look at how they are living their lives today, will find that their identity today is based on a set of standards that they set or created 10, 20, 30 or more years ago. Every one of us made decisions when being kids about what to believe and what we are capable of as a person. And that became the glass ceiling that controls our lives. You are not that same person that you were as a kid. So you have to shift your thinking, shift the way you think. You have to demand excellence from yourself. Don't be mediocre. Be world class. Be relentless. Pursue excellence. People are rewarded in public for what they've practiced for years in private. So never ever give up. Just continue to raise your standards. Distractions steal your life. So get more focused on what you desire in this hour, in this day, and in this life. Bring your awareness to this moment and what you want to be doing and experiencing now. That will help you to get rid of distractions. Where you are in life right now is a direct reflection of how bold you've been up to this point. How are you about yourself? How are you about your vision, your dreams, and your ideas? How courageous have you been to fight after you have fallen down? How courageous have you been to get up after you've been pushed down to the ground? So demand of yourself to be more bold and you'll feel more confident and influential over time. Raising your standard will help you reach higher levels of happiness, service, and humanity. The process of raising the bar or raising standards is all about evolving. You won't necessarily advance overnight. Raising your standards should be a stretch, one that takes you just outside your comfort zone. Take the time to raise your standards and build up your character. Start with one aspect or area of your life and you will likely see improvements all across your life. The key here is to make small improvements consistently over time. The small improvements in your character can only help you grow and advance imperceptibly at first until one day you wake up renewed and refreshed. This is the truth. It is the truth that applies to every aspect of our lives. From your profession to your appearance, your relationships, your finances, your health, they're all governed by the standards that you hold them to. Most of the time, these standards are set unconsciously, either adapted from the environment or indoctrinated into you by your family, your standards, your culture. And most of the time, these usually set far lower than what you're able to achieve. If you don't set baseline standards for what you will accept in your life, you will soon find it easy to slip into behaviors and attitudes and a quality of life that is far below what you deserve. Make the decision, take that first step. Decide on the person that you want to be, then lift your standards for yourself to become that person. When you raise your standards, your life changes. You have already embarked on your journey as a leader. You have been able to raise your own standards. A leader raises standards. A leader raises the bar for everyone. A leader does more than coordinating departments and operations. A leader makes a vision a reality. He or she achieves goals and takes an organization forward whilst raising standards. A leader will not reduce people to a level of mediocrity, but rather show them a higher level. By raising the standard, a leader insists that his or her team will do better. It is about insisting that performance is taken to a higher level. And most time, that higher level seems impossible, and people don't believe that it is possible at all. So when you raise the bar, you are in effect insisting that the team raises the bar. That pushes people to one of the greatest of all human attributes, which is resourcefulness. It is about finding new ways into moving towards the big vision. Being a leader is a tough job, but you have what it takes. It is about making decisions and getting to your destination. A leader that raises standards is one who is really helping people realize their full potential. The team will know it is this leader that pushed and stretched them and drew out their potential. Yes, not all of them will like you. Some people just stay in comfort zone. Some are happy to be at a lower level. They will only complain about you. They carry a negative energy. They only see a problem and never a solution. Leaders spend time working on those lowest performers. This means that they have to invest their time in the people who they least want to spend it with. But leaders know and understand it's the bottom performers that drag the organization down, so they invest their time in them. Some prefer comfort zones, so you will have to drop some team members along the wayside in order to take the others to the next level. You cannot sacrifice a willing team for those who won't move forward. The lack of vision and unwillingness to raise standards will keep potential locked up and sometimes take it to the cemetery, where we can find a whole lot of unused gifts and talents. Leaders set standards, they raise standards, and they maintain standards. Setting and raising standards increases everyone's pride in their personal lives, their position, and their organization. Most people may not be motivated to be extraordinary, but no one wants to be average. Maintaining high standards will improve everyone's life and behavior. Setting and raising those standards is where the hard edge of leadership comes in. No compromise is acceptable, or it isn't a standard. It is then just a suggestion. Each step of a higher standard leadership takes courage. Courage is powerful because it means you are all in with what is right and you are willing to accept the consequences. At the end, leadership is a way of life, and a courageous life is a life worth living. So maintaining high standards is not an easy path, especially when it seems everyone else is going in the opposite direction. Find and associate yourself with those who share your commitment, who share leading with integrity. Sometimes you have to be tough and tell others what they may not want to hear. Leading with love doesn't mean you always agree. It means you stand up for what you think is right, including the well-being of your team. Tough love is not about lying to people and getting them to hear what they want to hear, like, hey, you've done a great job. But when in reality, that person has just messed up everything. They have no focus or focus on the wrong things. The quality of your life is the reflection of your standard. It is who you choose to be. Everyone starts life with some challenge, but they move forward. They work hard, they work smart, and they know where their destination is. Some just choose to dwell on the challenge that they started life with and try to make the world feel sorry for them. But they need to change their behavior. See, you could make millions and still stay poor in your mind. Being poor is not about making less money. Being poor is a mentality. It is a choice to live a low standard of life. How many people have you seen that have tons of money but cannot get out of that small mentality? You can raise your standards regardless of how much money you make. It's not about money, it's about mindset. Different people have different values. We can have high standards in some areas of our lives while not bothering about other areas. Your thoughts determine your actions. If you want to put quality thoughts in your mind, then you must craft your environment in a way that most thoughts in your mind are useful or helpful. Destructive thought patterns only lead to depression, to worry, or anxiety. Your internal self-talk is the way to speak with your subconscious. Make sure you talk to yourself from a higher perspective. Become your own life coach. Use the power of self-affirmation to feel powerful and inspired to become great. Don't depend on people to make you feel affirmed. Most people never recognize what they are capable of because they think too small and they lack self-efficacy. If you raise the standard of your mindset, you will not be shattered by the failures or setbacks you encounter. You will see obstacles as an opportunity to learn and grow. You will get inspired instead of being jealous of others. You will participate in healthy competition instead of comparing yourself with others. So where do we start with raising standards, with raising the bar? Number 1, clarity. You must know what you want to achieve because you cannot set standards if you don't know what you want. So ask yourself, what do I want to achieve and what behavior would I need to change or adopt? What could I potentially achieve if I had no limitations? The only limitations we have is our mind. Number 2, assess your present. Assess where you are right now and your desired reality. What behaviors define your actions and results in the present moment? What standards do I currently have in every arena of my life? What expectations do I have of others? What is it that is hindering me in any way? Are my current standards preventing me from doing my very best in all these areas of my life? Number 3, find inspiring mentors. Your next step is to find a suitable mentor or mentors. These will be people who are currently living to the highest of standards in specific life areas that you desire to focus on. A mentor is someone that lives a balanced life in public and on private matters. A mentor is not someone that is going to pat you on the back and say, well done, when you've not done a great job. A mentor is not someone who will give you a job because they feel sorry for you and your situation. A mentor is someone who will speak directly into your life, someone who you know has high standards and lives out that standard. Use them as an inspiration to help you raise your own personal standards. Number 4, set clear standards. Identify a set of standards that you will follow, rules that you will live by. You could, for instance, take one of your life roles and set standards for what you believe, for what you expect, for how you behave, work, and live. Ask yourself, what little things must I do each day and every day to live these standards? Raising your personal standards is unlikely to be an easy, uneventful process. You will need to break old habits of behavior and develop new habits that will provide you with the impetus you need to make positive changes in your life. So with this in place, become more mindful and self-aware. Know and understand yourself and your personal tendencies. With this awareness, we are more in tune with our decisions, behaviors, and actions. Develop appropriate or new habits that support the standards that you set for yourself. These must help you prepare, plan, and think ahead. In other words, they must keep you moving forward while you progressively are encouraging yourself to raise your standards and levels of performance. Continuously measure your performance standards. Learn from your mistakes. You are human. You are bound to make mistakes. You will often make mistakes, but learn from it and try not to repeat it. The simple formula is, expect more from yourself each time, and you will get more out of yourself each time. Challenge yourself for a week by significantly raising certain standards. There are, of course, no guarantees in life, but there is a chance it may provide you with the impetus you need to move things forward in a better way. Unless you take the risk, you will never really know what you're truly capable of. Don't make comparisons. Never compare yourself with someone else. Remember that most people have very low standards and expectations of themselves. That is why many people live ordinary lives. Comparing yourself to how other people live their life is often not going to get you your desired results. So don't lower your standards to match societal norms and expectations. You should be making it your special project to be a good version of yourself. Improve upon version 1 of yourself. Then improve on version 2 of yourself. Then just keep progressively moving forward. In fact, acknowledge that you create your own standards, that you do not accept mediocrity, that you will not be ordinary or average. You know you can do better and you will do better. You will not settle for less than your very best. Performing at your very best will always ensure that you are improving and moving forward, just as long as you learn from every experience and use those lessons to improve on your past performances. Never get complacent. Complacency is something that often affects even the highest of achievers. They just get comfortable with how things are and no longer set higher performance standards for themselves. When you consistently meet specific standards of performance, keep setting ever higher standards for yourself. This will ensure that you always have something to strive for that's slightly out of your reach. Don't lower your standards. When faced with adversity and setbacks, it's very easy to start feeling sorry for yourself. As a result, you will be tempted to lower your standards. Subsequently, you will begin to settle for the easiest path. So this is not the time to settle for what is easy. Remind yourself that the process of raising and meeting your standards is not easy. It is a difficult path. And consequently, it's a path that many people do not choose to take. People will often settle for less. They will accept things for how they are. However, you are different. You chose this path on purpose, and now you need to work this path with purpose until you attain your goals. Learn from adversity, learn from setbacks, learn from problems. Be careful not to lower your standards. As I come to the end of this podcast, I urge you to identify where your standards are lacking and commit to raising the bar. Think about the cost and consequences of not raising your standards. Think about where you should have been instead of where you have been. Take inspiration from your mentors and set a high expectation for yourself. Run your race and reach your destination. Continually strive to improve and eliminate blame and excuses. Take full responsibility for your life. My challenge to you is to write down your vision. Write down what it is that you really want to achieve and what do you want to be remembered for. Let it be a constant reminder in front of you every day. Place it as a banner that directs your day-to-day standards. Use it to sharpen your skills and improve whatever it is that you do. A life on purpose happens on purpose. Don't wait for something magical to happen. Take control of your life and raise your standards to create the reality you really want. Now is your time. You must make it count. Make the change you've always wanted now and embrace an accelerated life.